But with change comes significant need to transform organisations. There are risks around reputation, around credibility. Synthetic data needs to be really grounded in high quality, real data. The term ultra-processed data, yes, it could be quick and easy to generate, often through automated processes and AI, but it could lack the essential sort of nutrients of quality research. You're talking about, synthetic data, you're talking about algorithms, and people get lost. You're only as good as your weakest link in an industry, and so we do need to make sure everybody moves at the same sort of pace. It's absolutely meaningless without some educated interpretation and insight.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Sam Knowles. And joining us today is Kelly Beaver, the UK and Ireland Chief Executive of Ipsos, the global market research and public opinion specialist company. She's been at Ipsos since 2011 and has been Chief Exec since late 2021. Before joining Ipsos, Kelly held roles across various consultancies, including PwC and KPMG, and specialised in public policy evaluation. Kelly has led a wide range of notable research programmes, including the REACT study tracking COVID-19 prevalence across England, and public attitudes work ranging from the use of evidence to Brexit and vaccines. Kelly holds several honorary positions outside of Ipsos in academia and charities. She's a fellow of the UK Academy for Social Sciences, a board member for the Campaign for Social Science, a visiting senior research fellow at King's College London, and a trustee for the Government What Works Centre for Early Intervention. In 2022, perhaps unsurprisingly, Kelly received an MBE for services to academia, research, and the COVID-19 response. Kelly describes herself as passionate about the use of evidence in decision-making. Our conversation today will be largely focused on the Market Research Society's recently launched Campaign for Better Data, which both Ipsos and Kelly support strongly. To kick off the Market Research Society's July 2025 Data-Driven Insights Conference, Kelly gave a fireside chat cum keynote speech to Research Live's Katie McQuater. For me, I have to say, that session was the highlight of the day, and it was up against some pretty stiff competition. Now, with AI and automation ushering in radical change to the research and analytics industry, some for good, some for not so good, this campaign for better data could not be more timely. It's a great pleasure to have you with us here today, Kelly. Welcome to Data Malarkey.
Thank you.
Now, listen, before we talk about the campaign for better data, I just want to ask, give you a chance to put the record straight. Is that a decent summary of who you are and what you do?
I think it's fairly decent. Yes, that is what I do at Ipsos and slightly beyond.
And I'd like to also start with a question that's designed to get to the heart of what makes you, you. It doesn't necessarily ask you to tell us about the day job. So tell me, Kelly, how do you spend your time?
Okay, well, I am a 42-year-old mother of one, originally from Northern Ireland. So I do spend a fair bit of time back in Northern Ireland when I get the opportunity to go back home. I also spend a fair amount of time standing on the side of children's football pitches, which is a big part of my weekends. My daughter plays football for some of the junior league clubs as well. So that's how I spend my time outside of work. And then I am a really very big fan of exercise as well. So you'll find me in the early hours of any day in my gym or going for a run, and those types of things tend to keep me sane.
Thank you so much for that. Now, listen, the Market Research Society's Campaign for Better Data launched, I think, in May of this year, with you and Ipsos, as well as Kantar and others, early and prominent supporters. A campaign for better anything suggests that some part of that anything is worse. Tell us about this campaign and tell us why now.
So we've been doing a lot of work at Ipsos over the last, over 50 years, actually, looking at public attitudes, values, how the world's changing or what bits are staying the same. And there's absolutely no denying that now we're in the 2020s, it is quite a restless period for how the public and large nations are going through this quite significant period of change. And with that, you have lots of new opportunities on the horizons for organizations like ourselves, where some of the changes we're facing into from a technology perspective give a huge opportunity for increasing data sources, methodology, innovation, etc. But with change comes significant need to transform organizations and industries, not just in our particular industry. And it does also lead to new challenges alongside those opportunities. One of the reasons behind this campaign for better data was that we needed a real focus as we go through changing how we work and how we operate on how we make sure we maintain the standards of data quality and evidence quality in the industry, whilst we take advantage of all of the opportunities that these new techniques and technologies give us. So that was part of it. We've also seen a rise more broadly, and you can see this as you turn over any newspaper today, about rises in misinformation and some of the AI driven content that can lead to increasing misinformation as well. It does mean you need some organizations to stand up and to articulate what's important around quality, but also to provide the sort of training and the guidance and best practice, so that it's not just one or two organizations in the area that can deliver at that way, but that you're setting the whole industry up for success in a period of change.
Now, you mentioned the initialism, or maybe it's an acronym, artificial intelligence, and it is obviously radically changing the research and analytics business, from automating data collection, real-time sentiment analysis, iterative predictive analytics, synthetic personae. I could kind of go on. Is the rapid evolution in AI in research one of the main motives, one of the driving forces behind the campaign?
Absolutely. So, as you've highlighted, it's transforming the industry in lots of different ways. And as I said, it's a mix of the opportunity to drive more efficiencies and get deeper insights, and in particular, to be able to create data for some of those really hard to reach groups based on smaller populations. Already at Ipsos, we're harnessing AI to be able to do a huge amount, which involves improving the quality of survey translations, analysing data sets, and also helping us to identify emerging trends for huge swathes of data. But with all of those great opportunities, as I said, it does create potential for risk as well. So perhaps, if you're utilizing AI substantively, but you're not doing it well, there are risks around reputation, around credibility, and ultimately trust and credibility are some of the real lifeblood elements of our industry. So we've seen over the last few years rises in sophisticated survey fraud. Now, fraud isn't new. It's something that our industry's been very good at managing over long periods of time. But now there's new generative AI capabilities which offer new ways to infiltrate survey collection techniques, and ultimately more prevalence of fraud. So you've also got you mentioned synthetic as well. And of course, synthetic data needs to be really grounded in high quality, real data in a good period of time, close to the proximity at which you're going to be making a decision on that data. So, there are lots of opportunities where AI is great, but also where you need to be very careful in how you utilize it. So the campaign should now provide a really useful framework for responsible and ethical AI use in research.
Perfect. Now, at the MRS conference in July, you talked about, I absolutely love this. You talked about the challenges of ultra processed data, and as a gym bunny myself, and a regular bunny myself, and a kind of devourer of Chris Van Tulleken's work and so on and so forth. I just thought, and I wasn't alone, I could see the pennies dropping in the eyes of the audience. We latched onto this brilliant analogy with ultra-processed food. Can you explain, I know you've been hinting at it already, but what you mean by ultra-processed data and the genuine threats it poses to our industry?
Yeah, it was on the way to the MRS conference, and I was thinking about what I was going to say when I was speaking. And I obviously, given my gin bunny status as well, which is only a new thing in the last 2 years, and I really
Same here.
yes, I've been reformed, but it did make me reflect a little bit on some of the potential dangers of data that has been through lots and lots of algorithmic processing, and where the origins and the integrity of that data largely become obscured to the users. And if you think about the analogy of the ultra processed food, which is much well known in our society now, people talk about that as a very well known acronym, never mind full stated word, and it's convenient, it's cheap, it's full of artificial additives, lacks real nutritional value. And similarly, when you think about the term ultra processed data, Yes, it could be quick and easy to generate, often through automated processes and AI, but it could lack the essential sort of nutrients of quality research. And by that, I mean transparency, representativeness, and a clear link back to real human experience. And this is why this campaign for better data is absolutely vital. It's about sort of championing the whole food equivalent in our industry. So data that's really fresh, it's well sourced, it's minimally processed, and in a way where it's transparent and understandable where the source of that data has come from.
Perfect. Well, listen, congratulations for coining such a brilliant
I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I bet you I could find it somewhere else. Yeah, anyway, good. I'm glad that it resonated, but also that it helped cut through, because often when you think about the use of AI and survey research techniques, you immediately get bogged down in very technocratic language, and you're talking about, synthetic data, you're talking about algorithms, and people get lost. But ultimately, what we're talking about is data where you really understand the source of that data and the treatment that it's been through, so that you can understand what you're looking at and what you're making decisions on the basis of.
So those are the qualities. So we've got transparency, and again, I mean, I love an analogy. I've always loved an analogy, and like all good analogies, maybe if you twist it too far, it might break. But I love the fact that you're talking about the nutrients of good research. Just give us what you think are the top qualities of the genuinely better data that we want to rally behind this anti-ultra processed data flag.
So there are a couple that I think are really important. And again, this is why I felt it was important for this to be an industry-wide initiative and not just something that we at Ipsos do ourselves in-house. And then it had to be industry-wide, because it's about the guidance and the standards, like how you use AI and synthetic data, ensuring that we keep pace with technological advancements, but also the emerging best practice as an industry. The other part is making sure that people are actually trained and equipped to have the right kind of skills in place so that they can ensure data quality in what is an increasingly modern research environment. So this is everything from the MRS's graduate certificate equivalents right through people in their learning journeys as researchers, insights, professional. So courses on making sure people have been on and understand advanced AI strategies, how generative AI is used in market research or can be, and also how they master data quality in online research. So the guidance, standards, professional development. And then one of the key reasons behind the campaign was to make sure that people are actually facilitating, we're collaborating across the organization in times of change. And it's really important to see collaboration, and you're only as good as your weakest link in an industry. And so we do need to make sure everybody moves at the same sort of pace-ish when we talk about data quality. And then the last piece is around advocacy and public engagement from a campaign perspective. And part of the role of the MRS is to represent the industry both to the public as the sort of face, but also into policy settings where government are seeking to make policies around quality of research and data inputting into their work and beyond. And there is this public engagement requirement so that good data and signing up to things like the MRS's Fair Data Accreditation become a really standardized way of how we work in the industry.
Well, hello there. It's your host, Sam here. Now, I won't keep you for long. If you've been inspired by what you've been listening to today, and you'd like to find out what type of data storyteller you are, why not go to our Data Storytelling Scorecard? Just follow the link to data-storytelling.scoreapp.com. That's Score App with 2 Ps. Answer 12 simple questions, and you'll instantly be served with a scorecard that tells you exactly what type of data storyteller you are. Now, back to the action and our brilliant guest. I mean, I've trained with on behalf of the Market Research, as well as direct, I've trained with the Market Research Society since 2015. Starting in data storytelling, moving on to insight and insightful thinking, and more recently looking at how to ask genuinely smarter questions to get the data that we need. And I'm delighted to say, I mean, I kind of always refresh before each new course, we'll always refresh the content, but it gave me a real sense of pride in the society
Yes.
which I'm lucky enough to have been made a fellow of a couple of years back. But also the delight in adding a slide with the logo and calls to action, and during coffee breaks having discussions with delegates coming. What is this? Can you tell us what sort of activities and initiatives the campaign may have coming up in the months and years ahead?
I can. I think the lovely Jane, who obviously runs the MRS, is best placed, but I can give you an idea of some of the things that'll be coming your way, but also the way of your audiences from this podcast. So, firstly, there will be resources, a whole host of things on the latest guidance on AI, reports from the MRS Delphi group as well, which has been looking into AI for insight purposes. And then there will be information on the different training courses. I think there'll be opportunities for organisations to get involved more fully with the campaign as well, so that they can be really vocal advocates of data quality in their own workplace. And this is a great opportunity for people who are wanting perhaps to add a string to their bow, perhaps push their own career development, but really getting to grips with this area of data quality and making it your personal thing and something you can champion in your organisation. The MRS will help and support individuals who are keen to do that. Just the skills and training offered generally from MRS, there'll be a mix of evolving some of the training that already exists to make sure it's up to speed with the latest AI advancements, and how, again, we can lean into that in an ethical, transparent way while maximizing the value add of AI. And then, of course, things that are very specific and focused on AI training. And then we have the MRS Fair Data mark. So if the organization is a Fair Data accredited company, this is something that they can promote to their clients and their stakeholders. And it really commits the organization to ethical and transparent data practices. And again, if organizations don't have that, it's worth speaking to the MRS about what you need to put in place to make sure that you can have that Fair Data mark. In the years ahead, I would imagine that this will become increasingly important for our clients in who they choose to work with.
As somebody who growing up would like to signal my allegiance, particularly to bands with badges. I've always been a big badge fan. I very much like both the credit in terms of the Fair Data mark, in terms of the campaign. You're right. I mean, this is a sort of Intel Inside kind of sense of reassurance that actually, if your chosen research partner is not espousing these values, then maybe you should think twice. And I think clearly that there's a role for individual practitioners, companies, the society, looking across the industry to really make this the gold standard, the high water mark to which everyone should aspire. And if it's not there, then probably look somewhere else.
Well, I think there are very few organizations today who are not looking to see how they can improve how they work with AI. Many of our clients are doing this. They're, encouraged to look for AI-driven solutions in the things that they procure as well. And if you are increasingly procuring things with generative AI running through it, you definitely need to make sure that organizations and individuals are utilizing that well. And this just gives a sense of reassurance as you say, a little badge or something that signifies that the individuals working with this data, and indeed the organizations, understand some of the ethical and transparent behaviors that they need to follow when they're using those kind of techniques. And I think that'll become increasingly important.
Very good, very good. Quite right. So, now I'm a strong advocate of people who work with data spending time, real human, physical time together to answer these all-important "so what now" what questions, understanding what the data mean and therefore what we or our clients should do as a result. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same.
We must be kindred spirits on this.
Yeah, very good, excellent. I've listened to and read a lot of what you said, both about this campaign and other things. So
Yes.
I didn't think we were going to be poles apart on that.
No.
But is part of the do you think that part of the solution to getting better data is about spending time kind of pouring through the runes of what the data mean?
So data, no matter how big it is, no matter how sophisticated it is, it's absolutely meaningless without some educated interpretation and insight. So, and I think to be able to interpret data well and understand the context into which that data is going for any decision-making process, understanding the people both behind that data and who are going to use that data, and being familiar is really critical to making it a success. And how does familiarization develop? How do you become more familiar? You spend time. And what's the best way of spending time with people? Actually, it's by touching and feeling it as a data source. And from a personal perspective, it's spending time together in person. That's where you're able to drive better impact because you're more familiar, you understand better, you connect better, you build those relationships. And so I think this mix of human intelligence mixed with artificial intelligence just makes our industry so exciting today, as long as we hold to those two principles and we don't let one of them drop.
Yeah, and I'm completely aligned. Absolutely, ideological soulmates there. I mean, often when I'm running training, working with different teams, looking at data storytelling. Some people may expect that they're going to be shown how to do a multivariate analysis of variance. I could teach them that, but I don't think that's what they've come along for. And they can often be surprised that the focus is very much on humanity and empathy and understanding genuinely the data tolerance of the audience that you're addressing, rather than drowning them with all the fantastic stuff we found. Flipping to the other side of the kind of the financial divide, to the client side. I mean, I think you've talked about what we as practitioners and as learners and as providers of research analytics services can do. But thinking on the client side, I mean, there was a lot of talk at that excellent conference back in July about AI making clients want the holy trinity of faster, better, cheaper, and that surely you can do this in all of those ways. And we all know that doesn't ever work. What can buyers of research do on the client side to ensure that they're not asking for the impossible and that they're not compromising the quality of data?
So, as I said when we were at that conference, we are seeing a rise in the wanting all of those three things all at once. And if I'm honest, that's not it's not unsurprising when you look at the opportunities that AI affords us. Eventually we will be able to deliver all three of those things in a much better way. Sort of fast forward 10 years, and is it going to be feasible to get good quality data, high quality data in a cost effective way quickly? Absolutely. And in some of the things we do today, we can absolutely deliver all three of these things for our clients. And that's just going to be more asked, more expected, more of the time. And I think as a buyer, making sure that you understand what good data looks like, and making sure that you yourself have clear visibility over the source of that data, and that you're confident with the quality of the source of that data, how representative it should be, and is it? How is it being collected? What protocols have been followed? And if AI has been used in some way, exactly how it's been used, and looking at some of the assumptions behind it as well. So I think the question is the why, the what, the how, all of those questions that clients should be asking up front, and then being clear about their own priorities. Which of the three is the top priority? They're all priorities, but which one is the most important? Is it the speed? And 80%, is good enough, but get me this really, really fast. Or is actually the rigor and the depth of the insight the most critical of those three priorities? And having an open conversation with your provider, really helpful, because it helps them understand your orders of priority, even if they are all priorities. And then a partnership approach, of course, I will say this, and the best work we do and the highest value we can add is where we're working in true partnership with clients, and we really understand their organizations. They have a good understanding of how we work and what we do, and together we drive value for them. And that is absolutely critical. And especially where you're testing and piloting perhaps new techniques that are now available as a result of the technological advancements and the AI improvements. With that, you could partner on innovative techniques, piloting, learning, and adapting. And I think that's really helpful. And then being an educated buyer, that's always what you want to be of anything that you're buying as somebody who's a consumer. But the more our clients understand about the research process and the technologies involved, the more they'll be able to assess what's realistic and what is less realistic. And so, we really welcome organizations who work with us, you really getting involved and seeing, to the extent that they would like to, how things work behind the scenes on the research projects themselves.
I think you've set out a really good kind of, if not manifesto, then a kind of prescription of how to be a really good research buyer. I'm sure, but in terms of looking for quality, representativeness, a set of questions to ask, a mindset, being informed, very, very, very helpful. Now, just to zoom out a little bit, I call myself a data storyteller, and I'm not at all blowing smoke. I'm a massive fan of your end of year review. It's one of the. Partly it's sort of, it means Christmas is coming, but also it's a great event, and you use data in a really really smart way. I remember last year's event, you seemed to have to be called Phillips to be one of the celebrity panel members.
Yes, yeah, that was an accident, not by design.
That was a tremendous event, but also boiling down all sorts of different data sets and presenting them in a really accessible but intelligent way for an informed lay audience. I'm not asking you to say we're brilliant and everybody else isn't, but how good what's your assessment of how good the research and analytics industry is at using data at the heart of its storytelling?
So my overall assessment is that the industry's on a bit of a journey when it comes to data storytelling. For a long time, it's been focused on the data and the sort of production of the data part of the equation, the collection, the processing, the analysis, etc. We're very good as an industry at producing very detailed reports and lots of very complex charts, but not always as good as we could be at translating the data into something that's really clear, compelling, with an actionable narrative for our clients. And so there's definitely work to do as a wider industry. And then bear in mind, of course, that there are lots of new streams of data that are now feasible for us to include in our storytelling. So we've got, there's the passive measurement data, which is becoming increasingly vibrant in the industry as well, which is a fantastic addition and tells you what people are actually doing, not just what they say they're doing. And that's a really great part. But you have to weave that into your narrative and understand how to use it as well. So on a journey, but I'm quite optimistic about the direction of travel actually for the group more widely, because we know, as a result of the improvements in the process and the use of tech and AI, etc., that the value in what we do really truly lies not just in that data that we produce, but really in the stories that we can tell with it. So we have a whole focus here at Ipsos on storytelling for impact, and that's a big part of our training and learning and development offer for our teams, which helps them to present findings, craft narratives, etc. But really to connect with clients and their boards on an emotional level so you can inspire them to take action. And that's the kind of, you can imagine as we move forward, the whole industry will spend more energy and more time on the storytelling, the value add through the narrative and the actionable insights, because the process element will be taking less energy and less focus, because there will be other things helping us to drive that process forward faster as part of the improvements that we're seeing.
I think that the more I talk to people about how AI can really help, and obviously risks, I'm taken back to an article that was in the Harvard Business Review back in 2019. One of the senior editors there, Scott Berinato, wrote a book about data science and the art of the possible. And he singled out the last mile problem, that efforts fall short in the last mile when it comes time to share the stuff, as he called it, the output of data with decision makers. And the fact that I was talking to a leader in the comm space recently, and his optimism about AI was that it does more of the grunt work, so that we can do more of the front work, which I thought was a nice way of putting it. But explaining the stuff to decision makers is I think, where research and analytics as an industry really does have its differentiator. So brilliant! Thank you so much. Now, finally, where can our listeners and our viewers find out about you, your work, and the campaign?
Well, if they want to find out about me and my work, they can go onto the Ipsos website. And if they want to find out about the campaign, they should go to the MRS website where a lot of the details are available.
Thank you so much for your time today, Kelly.
Pleasure.
If only there were more people with your approach to championing better data, there will be rather less malarkey in the world of research and analytics and rather more data-driven common sense. Kelly Beaver, Chief Exec of Ipsos in UK and Ireland, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.